Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So in the previous episode, I finished up the intercooler tubing on the SC, and I was also getting my butt kicked by a virus of some sort. So I'm not 100% back to normal at this point in time, but I'm at least much better than I was, and I'm ready to get back to work and ready to knock out the exhaust on the SC. So, as you saw in the intro montage, I wheeled this whole collection of different bends and things like that out. And what this is, or what these materials are all of the bends and all of the tubing that will make up the exhaust for the Lexus. Now, I initially had the intent to build a full titanium exhaust with a straight pipe module, twin outlets, everything else. But if I were to do that, then I would have nothing left over to do anything on the Aristo or really anything else for that matter. So I made the executive decision to dig through my materials totes, excuse me, and I dug out all of this 4-inch stainless that really wouldn't have gone to any better use. So we're going to use it on this car. And although I won't be doing a twin exit exhaust, a nice single exit will do the job perfectly fine. And like I said, it will provide us the opportunity to do things on the Aristo and other projects around here, as I'm trying to work on at least 4 different cars at once at this point in time. So this will be pretty straightforward, I think. And I built this little section right here to start the video. So this goes from 3.5 inch out to 4 inch with this little conical section right here. And from here to the back of the car will be all 4-inch tubing. So now I need to go from the end of this cone here and start making my way towards the rear of the car. Now I'm still a few materials outstanding at this point in time. I need to order mufflers, need to order a few other odds and ends from Stainless Bros to make this happen. But I can at least get started on this right now. And I should be able to get this first section from the cone through this provision on the chassis for the exhaust, and maybe up into the transmission tunnel area there. I don't see any reason why I can't do that right now, as if I get to that point, then that will be the beginning of the first muffler, and I think I should be good to go from there. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead and take some of this 4-inch stainless, make a few cuts, fit a few pieces, and see if I can't get the first section of this mid-pipe knocked out today. you guys noticed, I used a flex bellows on the SC's exhaust. And I wanted to make a quick note about using flex bellows and the correct way to do so. So I have a smaller bellows right here. And although it is smaller in stature, it is still the exact same construction as what is on the SC. So you'll notice that there is a lip on the inside of this side, right where my index finger is, while there is kind of a hump on this side. This side with the hump is the inlet side. This side with the lip is the outlet side. And the reason for this is as exhaust gas flows through, you can see that it will just kind of bump over that hump, make its way out the other side. If you would put the bellows on the opposite direction, flowing from my index finger here back out, well, some of that exhaust gas could get caught underneath of this layering of the bellows, and you could potentially build pressure up inside of the bellows, cause it to rupture, or cause it to prematurely fail. So whenever you are using these, always be sure to pay attention to your flow path and install it in the correct orientation, flowing through the bellows, not flowing at the inside of it. Well, I reached the point that I wanted to for today's efforts, and that is right here. So we have our 3.5 to 4 inch transition, and from this weld seam back all the way to where I finished for today, this is all 4 inch. So I left plenty of clearance to the chassis everywhere that I possibly could, since this engine is on floppy mounts or kind of factory mounts as opposed to a solid mount, engine plates, or even hardened poly mounts. Point being, the engine has a higher likelihood of moving around, and I wanted to provide ample clearance everywhere on the exhaust for that. So right now we are terminating in this 4 inch bellows right here, and from here I can take a piece of straight tubing or my primary muffler, or whatever the case may be, whatever I choose to put directly after the bellows. I now have a good place to begin building the second section of this mid-pipe. So until my mufflers come in, I won't be able to make a whole lot more progress on this, as I don't want to just kind of take a shot in the dark as far as building backwards and locating things if I don't have the actual components. Excuse me. That just ends up being a shot in the dark, and I'm not in the business of guessing. I'm in the business of building and measuring appropriately. So with that in mind, I'll get those things ordered, and once they arrive, we can continue building backwards on this exhaust, and I can't wait to hear what it sounds like. The rest of the materials for the SC's exhaust have now arrived, and this is what I was waiting on. So we have these are all stainless bros materials, I should say first, but we have a stainless bros 4 inch race muffler. This is the longer of the two options that they offer. We have a stainless bros oval muffler. Both of these are obviously in a polished finish, as you can see my reflection in it right there. And then we have a quick release clamp 4 inch stainless V-band assembly with an extra female flange, as well as a 4 to 5 inch cone and a megaphone cone, which these will be used for things later on, which we will get to later on. So at this point, I can start figuring out where that round muffler is going to be located, as this will be a 2 muffler system, or I'll have the option for a 2 muffler system, I should say. And I need to locate that round muffler before I can continue moving rearward with the rest of the exhaust. Now, I've played around a little bit with this already, and I think that round muffler is going to live somewhere underneath of the drive shaft right here. I'll leave enough clearance for if and when I decide to put a 1-piece drive shaft in this. As you can see, it's the factory 2-piece one currently. But if I leave enough clearance to the drive shaft, I can future-proof myself for if and when I decide to put a 1-piece drive shaft and a different rear end and everything else in this. If I build with enough clearance for that, then I won't end up having to redo a portion of the exhaust later on, which I don't really want to do. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead, figure out the location for the muffler and what we need to do to go from that flex bellows to the inlet of the muffler and continue to the rear of the car. Well, I'm almost done with the mid-pipe on the SC. So let me get over here. You can see that the first muffler is in place. Everything is ran to this point, and I have one last section that will go from this tube and kind of loop up somewhere in this area, and that is where the V-band will be housed. And that's where the parting section will be for both the muffler and the other section that I'm going to build. So before I drop this section out to do the final welding, I'm going to get the hangers located, as I don't want to pull the exhaust in and out multiple times. It's heavy, and if I can avoid doing that, I'm going to. So one of the hangers is pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. I'll use this existing rubber hanger right here and build a little bar that comes off of it, and that'll hang that section. I'm going to put a second one. I'll build a little bracket with a hanger right here, and I'll have another deal in this area that'll hopefully keep this from rocking side to side very much. The final one that I want to do is somewhere up here around the bell housing. I'd like to put another tab, probably to this bolt that my finger is on right there, just to take any load of the front section of this mid-pipe off of the downpipe and the header and everything else. If I mount this to this right here, or hell, I might even use that hole right there. That actually probably is what I'll do. It has a little bit better angle to it. But point being, if I support the front side of this mid-pipe, it takes all of the weight off of the other hot parts kind of in the engine bay side. And I feel much better about that than just having hangers in the rear. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start knocking this stuff out, get these hangers all done. Then we can drop the mid-pipe out, do the finish welding on it, and move on to the tailpipe sections. Since we are beginning on the tailpipe sections for the SC, I figured this would be a good time to build the dual wall exhaust tip for it. So right here I have all of my pieces cut and deburred and fit and everything else. I figured you guys wouldn't be super interested in seeing that, just trimming some cones and so on and so forth. However, we are going to take these 4 pieces and transform them into a dual wall exhaust tip. So if you guys haven't seen these before, this will make sense in a few minutes once I get everything knocked out. But for right now, I'm going to get started on this. I'll get this exhaust tip put together, and then we can get the muffler position solidified in the SC and build the linking tube to tie everything together. And there is the SC's brand new dual wall tip. So these are fairly easy and fairly straightforward to make. You just have to have a little bit of patience and not be scared of doing some surface finishing afterwards. But what the point, and I guess the construction of this is, you have a larger outside body, smaller inside body, and you use a couple of concentric cones to have a conical outside of it, a conical inside of it, and it's a pretty quick and easy way to give your exhaust a nice high-end look. Now, this tip style shouldn't be used on everything, as some vehicles and some projects, it just doesn't lend itself very well to that. The Mark IV is a good example of that, and I had the opportunity and the option to build this, or to build a tip like this, but I decided not to, as I think it would have looked kind of goofy. But with the Lexus being a little bit more high-end, or it's easy to think of a Lexus as being a little bit more high-end vehicle, a dual wall tip seemed like a good option for this. And frankly, I've been wanting to make one for a while, and this seemed like a good opportunity to do so. So now that the tip is squared away, I can put the muffler back underneath of the car and figure out the tube structure to link the mid-pipe to this muffler. And then we can get that knocked out.
Hold on, let me take my time.
The SC300's tailpipe muffler module is completed. Here is the end result. So this is still hot. It's literally just off the welding table, but I'm very happy with the way that it came out and with how simple that everything is. We have just one bend and a little section of straight going into the muffler. Coming out, we have the nice dual wall tip and a pretty simple hanger. So the next thing to do is to knock out the straight pipe module. And I like building modular exhaust systems, meaning having the option for a muffler in the tailpipe, having an option for a straight pipe, so on and so forth. I like to have options, and this car is no different. So that is where this megaphone cone comes into play. So this line marked out on here right now is a rough cut line to take this from, I think, a 3-inch inlet to a 4-inch inlet. and then the outlet is 5-inch. So I will have the same size tip diameter, but just no muffler in place for when I want to get loud and rowdy. So let me go ahead, I'll make that cut and get that megaphone cone tailored to fit 4-inch tubing, and then we can start knocking out the straight pipe section. And before too long, we'll be able to hear what the difference is between the muffler section and the straight pipe section. Just like that, both of the SC's tailpipe sections are completed. So here are the end results. On the right is obviously the straight pipe section, on the left, the muffler section. Both of them are 5-inch outlets, although the muffler section has the nice dual wall tip like we talked about earlier. I'm really happy with the way that these these tailpipe sections, as well as the rest of the exhaust, have came out. Now, you may have noticed that I back purged some things, didn't back purge other things. With stainless steel, specifically 304 stainless steel, back purging, at least for a full exhaust like this, is not a necessity. I could certainly have purged it, but that would have been a whole lot of volume to fill up with argon, and frankly, I just didn't feel like doing that. The exhaust will hold together perfectly fine, and this was kind of like a trip down memory lane building stainless exhausts when I first started welding and fabricating. I am not going to make a habit out of it now, as that exhaust probably weighs about as much as the car does. Obviously, I'm being a little bit facetious, but it's very heavy and kind of a pain to install and remove. But the midpipe is in now, and at this point, all I'll have to do is swap the tailpipe sections to alter the way the car sounds. So I'm getting out of here right now. I have some pre-existing obligations I have to go and attend to. But for tomorrow, for me, and right now for you guys, let's go ahead and see what the sound difference is between these two tailpipe options. And there we have it. Both of the SC's exhaust or tailpipe modules, they do exactly what I wanted them to do. The muffler section is quiet enough, not incredibly quiet, but quiet enough where it makes this car a little bit more civilized. The straight pipe module sounds very raw, very racy, and very aggressive. And with just one V-band clamp and one exhaust hanger, it's easy to swap back and forth between these two options. So overall, I could not be happier with the exhaust. It has sufficient ground clearance, it sounds good, it didn't cost me a whole lot of money, and it's another big item checked off of the list for the SC. So we still have a bit to do on this car, and I think the next order of business will be to get the fuel system squared away. That'll be the next and hopefully one of the last real big ticket items. So I will need to go ahead and spec out what exactly I need in terms of a pump, regulator, filters, lines, fittings, so on and so forth. The whole gamut of things that go into a fuel system for a car like this. But that will be in an upcoming episode because we are done with this one now. So thank you guys, as always, for coming along on all these different journeys and all these different adventures with me. It's kind of my goal at this point to have all of the project cars, at least all the Toyota projects, running by the end of the year. So far, we are victorious with the SC, with the Mark IV, and the Aristo. Excuse me. And the one outstanding one at this point in time is the Mark II, which that will be back in the very near future with some really good news, and I guess we'll just hold our breath until then. But with all that being said, that will be the end of this one. So as always, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, check out the website for manifolds, for merch, for all things good that way, including my 15th anniversary t-shirts and hoodies, available through the end of the year. So be sure to scoop those up before 2025 comes around, as they will be discontinued at that point in time. But with all of that being said, that will be the end of this one, and I will see you guys in the next episode.